Are you listening?
Welcome back to the Nerf Report. My name is Bryant, and for today's show, let's talk about the big news that dropped yesterday, in which Nintendo announced a brand new model of the Nintendo Switch, which they are calling the OLED model. And that new version of the Nintendo Switch will be launching this October for $349. And leading up to this announcement, rumors were running rampant about a potential new Switch model that could run 4K 60 frames per second. However, now that we have an official announcement from Nintendo, that doesn't seem to be the case, as the new Nintendo Switch OLED will feature a slightly larger OLED screen coming in at 7 inches, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, improved battery life with the new Nintendo Switch lasting up to 5.5 hours on one charge, a new extended kickstand, and the Nintendo Switch dock will now feature a wired Ethernet port. Which I have to admit, I thought I was going through the Mandela effect yesterday, because I would have bet serious cash on the fact that the Nintendo Switch already had an Ethernet port in the dock, but it didn't. So kudos to you, Nintendo, for finally making things happen. But it is important to note that outside of these changes, the new Switch is virtually the same as its predecessor. The Nintendo Switch OLED will still max out at 720p in handheld mode and 1080p in docked mode. The new Switch will still include the same NVIDIA custom Tegra processor along with the same 4 gigabytes in RAM. But let's just hope that Nintendo decides to keep the Joy-Con drifting in the previous generation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
As we mentioned earlier, Nintendo has already announced other versions of the Nintendo Switch, with the original version of the Switch launching back in March of 2017, and 2 years later, Nintendo released the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is definitely the more economical option. And now, 2 years later from that date, we have the addition of the OLED model, where Nintendo is now offering 3 separate models of the Switch at 3 different price points to choose from, which raises an extremely valid question. Come October, which version of the Nintendo Switch should I buy? And my opinion on this is, if you have never owned a Nintendo Switch and are looking to buy your first Switch, the OLED is a great option. But if you already own the OG Switch, there is no reason to rush out and buy this version, as the difference between the 2 units is so minimal that I don't even know if it justifies the cost. And in reality, I mean, a lot of the things that they added to the Switch this time around struck me as features that probably should have been included with the first Nintendo Switch, especially the kickstand. I mean, that little tiny thing broke off the first week I owned the Nintendo Switch. I mean, how are you gonna do me like that, Miyamoto? But as always, that is just my opinion. What do you all think? Do you like the brand new Switch? Do you think Nintendo made a good enough case to upgrade for existing users? Or was there a feature that you were hoping to see that Nintendo didn't add? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hey, thanks again for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, which who wouldn't, hit the subscribe button right there. And while you're down there, hit the like button. Maybe even consider becoming a Nerf Report best friend, just like the people listed down below did. In fact, don't you want to see your name there? I know I do.